Welcome to ArborPlus. So my name is Sarah. I am with ArborPlus. I also am with A Plus Tree, and we have Alex as our lead support, who many of you have probably been talking to. So again, if you have any questions, there's the chat function, there's the question function. We'll have Alex be answering questions simultaneously, and if it's anything I need to go over again, then I will slow down or I will reiterate and clarify any of the directions. Again, we're recording it, so it will be available in a follow-up. Okay, so let's get started. So on the agenda today, we are going to go over a general overview of what the difference is between the mobile app versus the web app. I'm going to show you how to get started with your personal profile, how to change and edit your treatments and your services, and also how to add users. And then we're going to jump into how to create and send an estimate, and if we have time, then I will show you how to schedule the job. Now, again, if I'm moving too fast or moving too slow, or you have any questions, go ahead and use that chat function on the side there. Okay, so first of all, what's the difference between the ArborPlus mobile and the ArborPlus web app? Basically, the mobile app is going to be obviously your mobile version of ArborPlus. You can only the inventory is where everything is on the mobile app. You could do everything in the production side on the mobile app. You could send estimates. The web app is for more of the admin side of it. That's where you could, add your users. You can build more advanced estimates. You can use it for the invoicing and the scheduling part. So the main things you will be doing with your mobile app is the inventory, estimates, and also as your field production, checking things, marking things complete in the field. And on the ArborPlus web app, it is more for the operations back end that you will be doing the scheduling and also more advanced estimates and invoicing side on. Okay. So let me get started and jump right into the mobile app. So on my screen, you'll see two windows. On the left side here is my mobile, and I have it plugged into my computer. And on the right side, this is the web app. So let's just focus on the mobile for now. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to show you this. Sorry, I'm going to show you the how to personalize your profile. So in your web app, if you log in, and you can feel free to follow along or not, you log in and your name will be on the upper right hand side. So you have your user profile here, and this is where you could change your email, your name, your phone, and also change your password or reset your password if you need to. Also in here, you will see your company settings. If you click on your company settings, you could adjust your company profile and edit your company profile. This is where the name of your organization, this is where you have the address. So in terms of invoicing, this is important because when you send an invoice, it says you could either send a check to this address or you could call with a credit card. So those are the two options it gives you. Then you have your main office email if it's different from your login email. And you can customize your default emails. So when you send out an estimate, you could customize it. This is where you have all your default emails that you can customize. And then if you're associated with any of these affiliations here, we have several preloaded. Again, if it's something important that you need, that's something that we could customize. So those are your company settings. And then for your treatments and default, this is where when you're doing your inventory, you will be adding the services. Now I want to clarify something because a lot of people are kind of scared of this word inventory. It sounds like too much of a consulting arborist role, but actually the way that we've designed it is we've optimized it completely for sales in the field. So it is and we could go into this later, but it's literally selecting the area, selecting your treatments, your DBH range, any notes, and boom, you're on to the next one. So you'll be able to see the difference in your estimates by doing it on the tree level versus the property level. And I'll show you, kind of a difference between what estimates look like. I'm sure we're familiar with estimates that look like this. Let me pull it up. Something simple where you have a line item. This is probably a QuickBooks estimate. You have the quantity and you have a general crown reduction and thinning. Or you have something a little more in detail. It gives you the area, the location, but I mean, honestly, if your crew is going out there, it's like reading a treasure map. So these are kind of the estimate as examples, the kinds of estimates that we as tree service providers, kind of these are our options to give, are these line items. And then if we want to go in deeper, then we create our own maps. So by starting off with a tree inventory, you're automatically skipping that whole step of having to create your maps, and it's already there for you. And I'll show you exactly what those estimates look like when we get to it. So in terms of services, it would just be like, if you're familiar with QuickBooks, it would just be like creating a service in that regard. So you have all the different ones, deep root fertilization. Now it's already preloaded with a lot of default treatments. This is where you could go in and let's say you don't have palms in your area, you're never going to do palm pruning, then you could trash that item. Or you don't do any plant health care, you could just click on the trash can and you trash that item. Now you could choose to edit any of them. Let's say you like the deep root fertilization, but you don't like the description. Well, you just change the description and you click save. If you wanted to create a new one, just create new service, treatment name. Maybe you want to do hazard pruning. So whatever it is, and then you have your descriptions in how you want to describe hazard pruning. And then you could take that a step further and you could actually create your default pricing based on the DBH range. So if I click on the dollar sign, I have all of my different treatments and services, and I have my treatment, my DBH category. So anything between 0 and 3 if I'm going to do a crown clean. So these are like you could create it as baseline prices, and then of course if access is an issue or equipment is an issue, then in the app you can override it. But these are great if you just want to do something quick or you're training someone and you can give them just general baseline pricing. So that is where you change your pricing. Okay. So, whoops, I logged out. So that was in the company settings, treatments, and default pricing. And there you go. So I think that was, check that off the agenda. Now we can get into what was my next thing. I think we just jump into how to create an estimate. So let's move back over. So now that you have your treatments and your services, let's move into your mobile app. Now feel free to follow along. Your email and password is going to be the same for both your web app and your mobile app. Okay, so I'm going to log in here. Signing in. Overview, I don't have anything on my job scheduled. If you did, you would see them pop up here. And if I click on map, this is actually a cool feature. You could see all of your clients and their properties. So let's say I'm in an area and maybe I want to do some follow-up. I could see, all right, what clients of mine are in my area. Of course, I've been doing a bunch of tests at this location, so this is where everyone is. I could actually search right here. I only want to see, Green Ridge HOA Management Company, their properties around me. Or I only want to see the residential clients around me. So I type that in, and I see everything in residential clients. So that's a cool tool in terms of outside sales, or if you want to just see things that you've done in your own neighborhood. Okay, so now let's just start with, from start to finish, adding a client and sending them an estimate. To add a client, you tap on this plus button right at the top. Anytime you see a plus at the top of something, it means you're going to be adding something. If you're in inventory mode, you're going to be adding a tree. So the difference between new client and new property, New client we treat as a parent client. So a parent client would have multiple sites beneath them. So because ArborPlus has really been optimized for commercial use, then a new client would be, you know, a management company that manages multiple sites, or sorry, multiple properties. Since most of our Boost users and newer users in ArborPlus work with residential properties, then we treat that you could still click on new client, and it'll give you the option to click on what type of client, and it'll be residential. And it automatically sticks it into the client of residential clients and puts it as a property. So if you just think of client as the parent client and property as the individual site, then you'll be okay. Now let's just start with residential client. So the name, let's do Jane Arbor, email. Now the email is they're also their unique login. So they will have to have an email in order to send them their estimate. Now if they don't, there is a workaround that, and I believe Alex knows that answer. And I'll send that in a follow-up email, because that's a question that recently came up. So let's just use, I will use my email address as a test at A+Tree, and phone number. And then address is the location. And if I just start typing, it'll pull up the location closest to me. And save. So now she's automatically added as a user. So if I click down, if I hold it down and refresh, I'm going to see Jane Arbor right down there at the bottom. So now I'll click into her property and goes to right where I am. There's my location there. So let's just say I arrived on Jane's property. I met her at the door. Hello, Jane. How are you doing? You want me to assess your trees? You want me to, you know, you want me to come out here because you had concerns about, you know, this tree was dead on your property. Well, since I'm already here, I will gladly assess the rest of your trees. So what's nice is having an inventory. While you might have been called out for one tree, you can be there and look at all 5 of them and have it in your system. So then you could follow up with her the next year and say, without even having to go out on the property. So now let's just start adding trees. You tap on the plus sign here to be in inventory mode, so it's highlighted in red. Now I tap on the map to drop a pin. Center it right over the canopy. Let's just say I'm adding this tree. Tap on use location, and then automatically I could take a picture. I could choose to add another image. Let's just say I want to do a close-up of the lower branch or a close-up of the root, so I could add another image, or I could show the access, whatever you want to do, and close. So now I have 2 images there, and you know, which is also great for the history of the tree, because you could also show if the treatments that you've been doing on it worked or not, or you could show a before and after of your pruning, or even a before after of when you remove the tree and replaced it with a new tree. So pictures are worth thousands of words here. I'm going to add the species here, which is London Plane. Now, if you don't see your species, you could just keep typing it, and it will automatically save into the database, and it will be in your database, your personal database, so that you don't get a bunch of other people's misspellings. All right, and the size is your DVH range. Let's just say 12 to 18. And this is where the treatments and services we had customized earlier, this is where you're going to see it. So I'm going to say this needs a structural pruning, and my base price is $260. Now, if I was doing only this tree, that might be fine. It might be high or low. But if I'm doing several trees, it might be a little high, so I could bring that down to $185. So that's how you override it. Now I'll show you that again. I'm going to move back. All I have to do is tap on the number, and that overrides the price. If I like the price, I just check on the box over here. So I'm going to override that price to $185. And then it asks me when do I want to recommend this? So it gives me two options. I could either put it in a year, or I could create an estimate to put it directly on an estimate. Now, usually year recommendations are if I'm doing a much larger tree population and they don't have the budget to spend all the money in the first year. So this is when I'm actually building the multi-year plan, priority this year, secondary next year, and so on. But since I'm only going out to Jane Arbor's house for a few trees, I don't need to create her an entire plan. I just need to create her an estimate. So down here at the bottom, you see the big blue button says Create New Estimate. Okay. Gosh, all my text, even when I put it on night, it still texts me. Okay, so I'm going to create just front yard. Now you could title the estimate anything you want. It also comes with its unique estimate number, but it's nice when you have titles there. It personalizes it for tree care. And you could, say 2017. Let's just say she works with you every year, so you want to categorize your estimates. You add, and there's that estimate right there. So once I tap into it, it automatically adds an estimate. It brings me back to the treatment list because I actually have an option to add more to it. So let's just say I'm going to prune it and I will treat it. Deep root fertilization, 85, sure, I'll keep that. It's going to ask me again, where does it want to go? And I tap in to the estimate. And I click done, and I could see that it added in my treatments right here. The rating, I'm going to say good. Is there any power lines? No. Was it near a building? No. Notes, it was in a median, so it has, oh, sorry, here, the potential hardscape damage. Yes. I'm going to say it is damaging the curb, so I'm going to say yes. And then any notes specific to that tree. So I could say anything like, mild signs of sycamore anthracnose, just to keep a running dialogue on this. Anthracnose. Or you could write, do not prune lower limb because there's a little bird on it. Any kind of notes that is significant to the client and that they want to see. And even in these notes, you could explain why you are doing certain things. Because a lot of times it'll say structural pruning, maybe people don't know what that is, so you could explain a little bit in there. Okay, and I'll click done. So there goes my first tree. Now if it was the same tree right next to it, I'm just going to drag it over there, use location, add an image, close, and it keeps all of the information that I just added on that previous species. So when it's the same species, it actually keeps the information that you put in on the last time you did that species. So I'm going to say, yep, everything's the same, and click done. I'm going to go to the next tree. I'm going to do a couple trees here, and then I'll send the estimate. Use location. So this time I'm going to do one of the crab apples next door, next to it. Close that out. Type crabapple. There it is. Size 6 to 12. Treatment. Let's just say they wanted to remove it here. So I'm going to do removal at 650. It's a little high, but sure, I'll keep it. Add it to my estimate. And I'm also going to do a grind stump. And I could keep adding to my estimate, or I could actually click on this lock button, and it sets it as the default in the future. So every single time I add a treatment, it actually defaults and adds on to that estimate. So let's just say she also wanted to plant the tree, which I don't have this in an option here, but then I would actually add that in my services, and so that I could create it as an option. Okay, done. Rating, very poor. And then I could say replace with more desirable species. Whatever you want to say. Okay. And done. So now I have 3 trees there, and I'm ready to send the estimate. So I'm going to tap down there at the bottom to sync. Do you really want to sync? Yes, I do. So now all those trees, those 3 trees I just added, are synced into the cloud. And this different colors represents different species. So I could see just visually there's 2 of one and 1 of one. Now let's just say it was in the wrong location. You could easily tap on you just tap on the icon, tap on the arrow, and you just move it to where the actual location is. Tap on use location. If you misdiagnose something or you misidentified the species, you could easily edit just by tapping on that. Tap on the thumbnail, and then you could change it to, let's just say it was a strawberry tree, and save changes. So it automatically saves. You only have to sync once, and everything, and you can make as many edits on the tree as you want, and it automatically updates in the cloud. So you don't have to remember to sync every single time. So, okay, now we will move on to sending the estimate. If you tap on the page icon in the lower right-hand corner, and I'll show you where that is again, page icon, lower right, it'll show me all the estimates I have on site. So if this is a client I've had several times, I'll actually see the history of her work. But since this is a new client, then I will click on front yard trees, and I could see it's a total of 194. It breaks down my items. I have 2 healthcare items, 2 pruning, 1 tree removal, and 1 stump grinding. So this is helpful because when I'm planning the job, or as the foreman, I realize, okay, I have to bring a stump grinder on this job. So this is a nice little snapshot view of what's needed. Or you need to bring your PHC rig, whatever it is. You can see here that there's also internal notes visible. This means obviously it's internal, so the client will not see it. So if I wanted to add an internal note, maybe a note on the job, don't forget, I don't know, sometimes there's clearance and you need a ladder. So don't forget orchard ladder. That's one of those things that if you had it, it would be great. And sometimes you forget it and you lose money on it. So there you go. Don't forget orchard ladder, or any other important notes that the on-site foreman needs to know. Maybe, you know, there's a dog in the yard, don't let it loose, or be very, very, very nice to Mrs. Jane because she really likes to yelp and you want to get a good review. So I'm going to say that is my internal note, and there it goes at the bottom. So now it shows me I have 1 internal note. If you're in a state that has taxes, you could add the taxes there. You could also add miscellaneous services. So this is where maybe you have dump fees or debris removal. No one really likes the word dump, so debris removal fee, and you could set your price to whatever it is. Let's just say $250, and you add it. So that adds onto the bottom of the estimate. And then it also gives you a nice little breakdown. If you keep scrolling down, you can see the breakdown of your treatment categories, your treatment summary, and your species summary. So if you're happy with that total, $1,544, you can email the estimate right to the client. There it is. It has your preset default, and you can choose to send yourself a copy. So let's go ahead and send that and see what that looks like on the client end. Now, while that's sending, I also want to show you, I'm going to jump right over into the web version of it so you can see what that looks like. That same estimate you created, I'm going to show you what that looks like on the web version. So I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to refresh my screen since I had synced those trees. And I click over here on property, and I can see Jane Arbor right here. So if I just start typing her name, it'll actually just jump right to it. Now, this is where the client, like I had showed you earlier, you have your parent client, and we have residential clients as your parent client. So these are all your residential clients. So I'm going to go click on Jane Arbor. It shows me the trees. So these are the ones I just added. I could click on that tree and see that it has 2 images, a little snapshot. I click on the edit, and it has my recommendations right there. And I can change any of this information as well, and it will reflect right in the app. So I could see the different photos, notes here. I could add any more notes and save. And you have the tree list on the right side. So if I'm scrolling over one, it'll actually jump the pin in the map so you can see it. And if I click on this, it'll highlight it in the map. Okay, so I want to see that estimate I just created. You go down here, right underneath the map, it says recent estimates. And I could see I had sent out an estimate right there. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that, I'm going to see if that estimate came into my inbox here. There it is, High Garden Estimate Front Yard Trees. So this is what your client is going to see on your estimate. I mean, sorry, on their client view estimate. So they get the nice little email and a button, I'm going to view the estimate. And there it is. Gives me a nice snapshot. Treatment summary. And then on each tree, it breaks down the treatments. So I could see their structural pruning, deep root on just this one tree. And as I hover over it, it shows me which tree in the map. So if Jane's wondering why her bid is $15.44, she could see a beautiful breakdown of every single item. And this allows her to maybe take things off or adjust it according to what fits her needs. So then you could also see, well, that was supposed to be debris removal, but my phone auto-corrected to that, which is strange. But you also see your miscellaneous services. And then if you continue scrolling, you see the definition of treatment. So this is where I showed you in the very beginning of customizing your treatments and putting in that description. It actually populates it right in the bottom of the estimate. And if she's happy with the bid, she could actually just go ahead and approve it right there. There is a list of terms and services, which is we made to incorporate almost every single thing that would come up for a tree contractor. So it's very in detail and cover you and with different stuff. So you could look into that, but there is the terms and services that they have to agree to before they approve the estimate. I won't approve it just yet because I want to show you the estimate in the web version. Now, of course, if they didn't, if they wanted to print it out and look at it, or they had to show someone else, or they didn't have a computer and you wanted to print it out for them, then there's the download option here, download the PDF. You can print it out and send it to them. So I'm going to jump back over. Now that you see the client version of the estimate, I'm going to jump back over and show you it in the web version. So this is the estimate in your admin capability. So you could see, you could actually edit any of this. Let's say she looks at the estimate, she goes, it's a little high, can you adjust it and see where we come in? Or she decides she doesn't want to remove the tree, she wants to prune it instead. Well, this is where you could also make a lot of these adjustments. Easily, you could change it by clicking on the price and adjusting it. You can take it off just by clicking X, and you could even add a treatment just by clicking the plus sign. So you could add any of your treatments. Let's add deep root fertilization again, and let's just put it as 250 for now, and I'll show you why. And then if you wanted to adjust any of this stuff, debris removal. And then here are notes to the client. So you could say, please have your car moved from parking at the time. So you could put any of your notes here of the job. And once I'm happy with that, you could see my number changed to 1629. I just need to save it, and I could choose to send the estimate again, or they could actually just refresh that estimate right there, and it automatically changes it. So that I'm going to jump back over here. You could also you could also download the PDF version here. You could see your past revisions if you wanted to see what you originally bid them, and you could revert back to past revisions. Or if they said, hey, I never got the estimate, even though it says delivered, then you could just click on this link, right-click it, copy link address, and you could send that link right in your email. Okay, so now that's the estimate version, or that's sending an estimate. I will show you one other way in which you want to create a new estimate. So let's just say she decided she wants 2 estimates, one tree care and one to totally remove all of the trees. Well, I just create a new estimate here. Let's say she wants to remove all 3, so I select all, and I override my original recommended treatment. So originally, maybe I had recommended structural pruning and fertilization. Well, I could choose to override all of that and say, you know what, it's going to grind a stump and remove the tree. Add it to the estimate. Scroll down, it populates it with my default pricing right there, and it spits me out $3,094. So again, I could choose to adjust anything. I changed the title just by clicking on it. So I could say removal of all trees. Maybe that's option number 2. I click OK, and I save it. Let's just say it's a little low for my 1 crew for a day. I need it to be at 4,000. I could quickly adjust the price just by clicking on this percentage sign, and I could adjust it to, I could round it to whole dollars. Let's say I want to up it by, 10%, or I could keep going until it hits 4,000. There I go. It automatically changes all my prices by that percentage amount. And I click save. There are some other bulk options which I could get into in another webinar, but this widget icon, this is when you have, let's say you have 30 trees or some, a lot more in your estimate, and you want to change the pricing across everything, or you want to change the treatment across everything. This is where you have the bulk edit estimate. And I won't go into every detail, but I just wanted to show you that that is available if you needed to do bulk edit of your estimate. And again, I could choose to, I will send this estimate to Jane. I could change it if I want. I'm going to keep it and send. And so now when she goes into her estimate, here's a removal of all trees, option number 2, view estimate. She actually will be able to see both of her estimates just by clicking on this badge. So she could see everything that you've sent her already. So she has her option number 1 and option number 2, and she has a nice little breakdown. If she had multiple properties, she could actually see all of her properties here. So this acts as the client portal, tree portal. It's a very powerful tool, especially if it's someone who has several properties. So let's just say she decides, she decides to remove everything. She's going to approve the approve the estimate. Agree, approve this estimate. Now it's approved, and an email is sent to Alex or whoever the salesperson is, and they get a notification, this person just approved the estimate. Now on the admin side, I could go into my reports here at the top, and I can see all of my estimates that I've sent and all of their statuses. So I could see everything in draft that I haven't sent out yet. I could see everything I've sent that maybe I need to follow up with. So let's say I sent this a month ago to Marcia and never heard from her. Well, now I could follow up with her. And this is what you could use as a follow-up tool. And now I could also look at my approved. So once it's approved, I could jump it and schedule it. So one step I did skip in the beginning was adding users. So you will have to have a crew leader or someone in your crew. You'll have to add them as a user in order to schedule the work, because you have to apply it to a lead, to someone, lead crewman or a foreman. So let's do that right now. I'm going to click on the tab at the top. Now I'm going to be in the users. So you see your different roles here. So now I just add a new customer. Let's just call it Sarah plus crew at tree. So if so your crew leader or your foreman or whoever it is would have to have their own email, and then name, crew number 1, phone, whatever that is, and password. I'm going to set it as password. Password. So Sarah plus crew. Okay. And I'm going to make them the foreman. Save. So now that I have a foreman in there, I'm going to schedule the work. There's 2 ways to do it. You can click on the job calendar, which I'll open in a new tab, or you could just click on the estimate and you could pull up a snapshot of everything and you could add the new date right here. So I'll do it both ways just so you can see how it's done. Add new date. Let's just say I'm ready to schedule and I already know what's on my calendar and we can start work on Monday. So I'm going to choose my day lead, which there it is, crew number 1. That's who I just added. And I'm going to start Monday and it's going to end Monday. If I had someone in the crew, I could select them, but that's not required. The only thing that's required is your day lead. And I click save. And there you go. And again, you could type in any of the internal notes here, which will pop up on the phone. And I'm going to close. So now if I jump over to my job calendar, I will see that here it is, that it's scheduled right here. Removal of all trees. Whatever's been approved that I have to schedule, it populates here on the left side, so I know that I need to schedule things. And you could also set your daily goal here. So if my daily goal was 1,000 or whatever it is, then I could actually see in a snapshot if I have, so you see it, so it shows here, there's nothing in here, give me some jobs. Over here, I'm overbooked because I only can handle 1,000 a day. So I would have to put this over 3 days, and I just click this, put it over 3 days, and save. So now I have it over 3 days right there. And I'm under goal by $998. So it divides it by 3. Okay, now I jump. So that's how you schedule, and then we do have about 10 more minutes. So I'll show you once it's scheduled, then how it's checked and marked off as done in the field. So let's jump back over to my mobile phone on the left side here. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to log in. Sorry. I'm going to log out and I'm going to log in as Sarah plus crew and plus the user that I just created. So I'm going to go into that property, Jane Arbor. And I see that it's scheduled in 3 days. So let's just say it was scheduled today. If it was scheduled day of, I should see that come up on my jobs here. My estimates? Okay. It should come up on my jobs there if it was scheduled that day. But I think because it's scheduled a few days out, it doesn't come up yet. So I'm going to click on, I'm going to go into that estimate. And I'm going to click on that estimate and view job. Now, for now, majority of our users, we haven't started the clock in and clock out function because that involves a lot more system changes. So this is just for the foreman in terms of his work order and marking things complete. So he clicks on view job and now he sees there are 3 trees indicated in the triangles that that's what he needs to do work on. He could click on the icon and he could see what exactly needs to get done. And it also has an option to edit the treatment. So if he gets there and the client changes his or her mind, you could actually edit the treatments right there and change it. So let's just assume this is his work order and he's gotten to work and he's already gotten one tree down and he's working on his second. Just goes into taps on the axe, which is work mode. Now that he's in work mode, he clicks on that tree and he checks that he did that removal. And let's just say he's finished this removal as well. So in real time, it updates. He's finished 2 and he's 63% complete. That's based on the dollar amount. And he has 4 to do. So even though, so 4 is the actual treatments. There was 3 removals and 3 stump grinding, which is 6 treatments, and he completed 2, so there's still 4 to do. So that tree isn't marked complete until he finishes both of them. Once that stump is ground, it actually turns into a circle icon, which means that tree is complete. And so from a high-level view, let's just say he had 30 pins right in that area. He could see very clearly, okay, I finished 1 tree, I have 2 more to do, and that one needs a stump grind. So once everything is marked complete, let's just go through and mark them all complete. So I also want to just show you from the office point of view what that would look like. So let's just say he has 5 done, 1 to do. On the office side, I just click here to refresh it. I look to see what's in progress. And I could see that this person is 79% done. So let's just say I'm near the end of the day. I have a couple jobs out there. Let's see where we're at. You could see that it's 79% done. Why is he not done? I click on there, and I could actually go in and view the edit the estimate. Goes to that property, and it shows me he has a removal. Well, that wouldn't make any sense, but let's just say he had a stump to grind, but he finished the removal. Well, you could see something was off. Give the guy a call. Did you finish this? Yes. Okay. When the job is marked complete, let's just say he finishes the removal, then get a little smiley face, and you have to mark the entire job complete. So you go back into the estimate, click on there, and you want to mark entire job complete. So just because you mark all the items, it doesn't necessarily mean the entire job is complete. Why is that? It's because there are some things you have to do. As we all know, once you finish the tree work, there's a lot of cleanup. There's to make sure you got to load your tools, and you have to make sure your client is happy and everyone is happy. So this is a final checklist. And any notes that you want to add, you could say client chose to leave mulch on site. And I can confirm that. And so let's just say 2 weeks down the road, client calls you up, hey, you left your mulch here. Well, now there is a note here that the client chose to leave it. So it's just one more step of communication, and now the entire job is complete. So once that job is complete, I could go into my reports, and it will show that that job was complete, and I could choose to invoice. So I could send the invoice right away, send the invoice, and I'll show you what that invoice looks like on the other end. Let's jump into send the invoice. So there's my view invoice. And it shows invoice due, and then the client could choose to pay, and it gives you these 2 options, pay by credit card or pay by check. So that is, for the most part, from A to Z. I hope that this has really boosted you in your ArborPlus usage. And this video will be made available online in a follow-up email, and also it will come with a survey. I really would like to know what your feedback is, if this has been helpful, if I've addressed any questions you've had, and if there's anything and if I was clear on it, and if there's anything else you'd like me to get into, we could do on our next webinar. So I just want to thank everyone, and of course, if you have any questions, you can always email us. Here we go. Ooh, that's not the right one. You can email us at support@arborplus.com. Here we go. So you can email us at support.arborplus.com. There's also the support function right on your phone. So let me show you how to get to that. If you go all the way out, on the menu, on this hamburger menu here, there's an option of support, and there's several ways you could chat with us during our customer support hours, which is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, Pacific Standard Time. You could send a ticket in, or even call our hotline, and of course, email us at support@arborplus.com. So thank you so much for joining us. If you have any other comments, we'd love to hear from you. Have a great one.